Hey everyone, this is a future editing Raven, just letting you know that at the beginning of this episode, we blithely say that this is episode number 4 of the 10th Divine. Well, our recording plans went a little bit awry, and this is in fact going to be episode 3. So sorry about that confusion. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hello, and welcome to the 4th episode of the 10th Divine Podcast. This is a show about the Elder Scrolls Online, and I'm your host, Shanty, and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Raven. How are you doing this week?
Well, it's been a bit of a week, isn't it? Yeah. I'm okay. I'm distressed for some of the things that are happening in your country this week. That's put a bit of a downer on things, but yeah, it's been pretty busy. So I actually took a mental health day off work yesterday and spent it playing ESO. so so that was quite nice. I actually played some game for a little bit, which was pretty good. But aside from that, the busyness continues. I'm still trying to buy a house. My work is still mad. I'm still trying to organize a horse show, and the world, the sort of wider world, seems to be crumbling into small pieces around our ears. So situation normal, I guess. How are you?
So, there are a couple of factors at work that have led to me being in charge of the product that I just left in a supervisory role.
Okay.
When I had no training for supervisory role in that product, but so that's been fun. But I have been streaming this week for the Alzheimer's Association as part of Voiceapalooza. I haven't had much company, but I'm just getting back into the swing of things, so it'll come.
Yeah, for sure. It's so difficult to build that audience up again if you take a break. It's just
especially
to get
when
back
that breaks
into
6 months.
Yeah, just to get back into that stream of things can be really, really tricky.
Yeah. So, what exactly have you gotten up to in ESO since we last recorded?
Oh well, we've resurrected Thursday night dungeons, and we stuck our toes into a veteran dungeon for the first time on Thursday, and we were smeared very lightly across the floor of the Dark Reach caverns by a sort of mass of squid on what I think is the second main boss in that dungeon. I can't remember what it's called now, but basically just like netches appear from every available surface, just thousands of them. And yeah, we didn't quite have the AoE to manage that because none of us know what we're doing. So it was good fun. We had a good time. But after we'd been smeared lightly across the floor for about the 8th time, there was a very plaintive voice of one of our members was like, could we go back and do a normal? Like, yeah, let's go and do a normal. Let's go and beat something up that we can actually kill. But we did kill a few things. We killed some mini bosses, so we got some like better loot. I have been continuing my questing in High Isle. I'm not very far through the main story yet, but I'm working on it. So all of the leaders are still missing. I don't know where they are. But that's obviously very important. So I've been gallivanting around the countryside and helping lots of other people. So I've got my 2 companions. So I did the companion quests, and I'm keeping the little Khajiit, whose name I've now forgotten. Ember. I'm having Ember as my friend. Like, always take the Khajiit. I'm having Ember as my friend. I enjoyed helping her clear up her little magical tower accident that she'd had, so that was good. I've also, after being smeared across the floor quite comprehensively in Dark Reach Cavern on Thursday, I have started into the dangerous world of combat add-ons. and actually reading some instructions for how to play your class. So I'm experimenting with one of Duma Gaming's 1-bar Dam Warden builds, and I'm experimenting with using combat add-ons, which is very exciting. I also yesterday just dipped my toes into Tales of Tribute, which was fascinating. I've never played any kind of card game before ever, so I have no idea what the fuck I am doing at all. Which is kind of nice, but also kind of annoying. So I spent this afternoon watching a couple of videos to see if I could understand really any more what's going on, but I think probably I either need to play more or I need to get somebody to give me a lesson, because I don't get it. Is that a volunteer? Okay, we'll talk about that. In a minute. Shanty, what have you been up to in game?
So on Tuesday, I went in and started working on my NA character and did one of the side quests in High Isle. Haven't touched the main campaign on NA yet. Then this past evening, I also, I won't say dip my toes because I lost like 6 hours to it.
Okay, so that's like your toes and all of your legs, like.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, the first third of my stream, somewhere in that ballpark, and I played quite a bit off stream as well, was all Tales of Tribute.
Okay. So that's more your kind of thing. But you've played card games and stuff before, haven't you?
Yes, I do have a background in like deck building games in real life, so I picked it up rather quickly. And then after that, I just went around and did some Sky Shard farming, cleared a couple delves. And that's pretty much been my week in ESO. However, I did also have an extremely exciting occurrence in my World of Warcraft stream. And I got Invincible.
The invisible horse is not actually invisible.
I know, but we both know somebody who has 2 of them, so
yeah, we do.
There's proof that it exists.
She has killed Arthas many hundreds of times, so
I've done it less than 100.
See, that's very lucky. That's very, very lucky. Don't tell her that. Don't mention that.
I'm gonna credit the charity stream luck for that.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, Arthur saw that you were charity streaming and decided to gift you his pony. That's amazing.
And the pet, both in the same drop.
Oh, Arthur was feeling very generous. Very generous. Nice.
But as always, we do have a guest with us today, and we're excited to have Marcus Axford from the Legends Rise ESO podcast. How are you doing today, Marcus?
I'm very tired.
Oh.
I did a rookie mistake and I forgot to what's the word I'm looking for? Clarify. That's not the word I'm looking for, but clarify what the time was going to be, because I had my wife wake me up before she went to work at 5:45 in the morning, and I'm like, oh cool, I'll get some Tales of Tribute in, and I'll wake up, I'll have some coffee, and then I'll be kind of sort of ready to go by 7:30, and then Shanty's like, oh no, I'm 2 hours ahead, not 3, and I'm like, okay.
Time zones. The time zone boss is the worst boss of doing any of these things. It's terrible. Yeah.
Somebody should fix that.
Yeah, I'd love somebody to fix that. That would make my life a lot easier.
Most absurd concept. Yeah, let's shift the moon and the stars and the sun and the whole solar system just for my benefit.
yeah. Let's just fix that.
If it means that I'm awake when other people are, I can kind of dig it.
Yeah, I know. All right, you guys ready to gut my personal life? Well, right. I was born 1990, and it was, I don't know what kind of day it was. I just know it was March 3rd, or not March 3rd. God, I don't even know my own birthday. Hold on. let's just take a nice draught of this cup of coffee.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you got some coffee there? That sounds like you might need some coffee. Okay, perfect.
In my Xbox mug.
In your Xbox mug. Amazing. I'm drinking a cup of tea out of a mug that says, I don't need a motivational quote. I just need everyone to fuck off. So there you go.
All right, but we do like to start out by asking our guests how they discovered the Elder Scrolls and ESO in particular. So, Marcus, what is your origin story in that regard?
Oh, love a good origin story. So, I don't even know for the life of me why I had picked it up, but I know a lot of people start with Morrowind. I am one of the people in the category who started with Oblivion, and not particularly good at it either. I remember kind of going through the main story because I grew up, when it came to Xbox, I grew up on Halo and
Okay.
GTA, and I only kind of stayed in a specific category with a handful of games. And like as the 360 came out, my friends were like, "You need to play more than just Halo." So, what was it? I think it was summer 2008. I think I went out and I got like, Gears of War and Call of Duty and stuff like that. So I decided to actually broaden my horizon a little bit. Because yeah, I believe Oblivion was Oblivion 360? God, it was so long ago. I can't remember.
It must have been because it was 2008, 2006, 2000.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
something.
the golden age of gaming. We had Fallout 3. We had the orange box. Oh, actually, yeah. Have my orange box disc right next to me.
Oh.
Oh, Valve, give us Half-Life 3. Anyway, so I did enjoy it. I wasn't a total RPG noob. I grew up on Fable. Absolutely loved Fable. But I went through that, but I didn't actually do like a whole lot of it. I believe I did the arena because I liked getting easy achievements, but that was about it. And then Skyrim came around, and I had a good friend of mine who was just all over that. And he's like, "Oh, you gotta play it, man! Oh my God, it's gonna be the best game of the world!" I mean, I wish I could share what my desktop picture is of, but it's if you're familiar with the YouTube artist, user, content creator, whatever, Harry Partridge, he did a cartoon song, whatever, with the God, what was it? They did a parody of the opening for Skyrim, and it was just absolutely hilarious. So the hype was real, and I wish I had been more a part of it, because when I actually got into Skyrim, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. I mean, it's funny because my best friend talks about how much his wife loves Skyrim and still plays the soundtrack when they go to sleep, which is something I also do because it's so peaceful.
It is peaceful.
So, and I live in the Pacific Northwest, so like I live in Oregon and the areas, Washington, all that. So very woodsy up here. So I very much relate to that kind of location. And then Elder Scrolls Online got announced, and I was smart, and I did my research and stuff, and I think I held out for, I want to say, a couple years for whatever reason. I didn't want to get it immediately. So, and I kind of am sad that I missed out on the very, very beginning. At the same time, I'm not.
That's pretty common in the MMO space, where if you hop in about 2 years, 3 years later, you're hopping in after the developers have learned what the community is after.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. I remember that we still had the veteran rank system, but I believe I hopped in. Oh, I can't even remember. I think it was about a year before One Tamriel, because I think One Tamriel dropped in September of what was it, 2017 or whatever it was. And then I think if I looked up my achievements right now, the first one's gonna say something like December 2nd, 2016, I think, something like that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, and then I quickly fell in love with it, and I take long breaks when I get burned out, but it's one of those things where I just can't help but come back to it.
Fair, fair. How did you get started in content creation?
Oh my goodness. Very long and poignant story. I actually got started, I think, when I was about 17. You figure YouTube was only a couple years old. Yes, I just dated everyone here. 2005 is when YouTube came out. So, but I don't know why. I've always loved writing, and I kind of had a little bit of a fascination with games journalism. You figure G4 TV was really big back in the day, and I had when they came out, they were the platform for when E3 was happening, because the internet was still very young. Again, just dated all of us again. Social media was young. YouTube was just starting out. All this stuff was just beginning. So we still had a lot of stuff on TV. So, we had Direct TV, and I watched it there. And I think my biggest thing was I started in 2008. No, I'm sorry, 2007 with Halo 3.
Okay.
Specifically the Legendary DLC. So I guess 2008. I'm sorry. And started on MySpace.
Oh, MySpace.
Everyone in their 30s is telling me to shut up right now. I can just feel the rage.
Oh my goodness.
I do. I don't know if you remember the sticky notes on MySpace. It was kind of like Twitter, where you could only write so much, but I wanted to actually write articles and be like, hey guys, I'm really excited. I know everybody else is really excited for this content that's coming out. And then I got my own website. I just did the free stuff. Again, building your own website was pretty new back then. Everything was a lot simpler. But I started doing that and writing articles and stuff, and eventually it's like all things, you don't gain enough traction, so it's, even though you love doing it and have fun doing it, there's also, you can't deny that balance of, well, I'm just not really getting anything back for all the hard work I'm doing. So I stopped. And then I tried doing some YouTube videos of my own. That went wonderful.
I mean, that's hardcore. Like, YouTube videos can be hardcore. That's,
Well, we did a project, and just gonna continuously freaking date everyone. Because capture cards were still expensive. I mean, they still kind of are, but they're a lot easier to get a hold of now. So we did a project called Xbox Live Talk Radio, and it was only like 6 episodes or whatever. And I really wish I could go back and find those videos on a laptop somewhere, but I know they're long gone. And it was where I did the whole thing where you put the people's voice in party through the TV, and I took a digital camcorder.
Oh my goodness!
Get in front of the TV.
Wow.
We're dinosaurs.
Oh my god! Yeah, the things you had to do back in the day.
Oh
yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, because you figure, it's easy now. Look what we're doing. It's just a couple clicks and we're all good to go. But it was super hard. I mean,
yeah,
laptops were just starting to become a thing. Not everybody had internet. It was crazy. But that was, I think, the first real project I tried doing before podcasting was really a thing. And again, dropped off it. Wasn't really doing anything. And oh, hello there. Someone's not happy this morning. So I kind of did games journalism off and on throughout the years. I've also done games development a little bit. That one's a little hard to, you get that, oh God, what is that condition where you can't really like I did games development, but I didn't do coding or anything. I didn't go to college for it either. I just had somebody recognize that, oh, you're really great at marketing. I want to have you as head of marketing for this new company I'm trying to build. And I even told him, you do realize I didn't go to college, right? He's like, I don't care. You're really good at it. It's like, okay. Yeah, eventually the syndrome is going to
Imposter syndrome.
Thank you, God. Yeah, imposter syndrome, and I suffer from it like greatly even now. So that was a big thing where it's like, can I really say I was in games development? Because it turns out that there was a lot of shady stuff going on with that company. I don't even know if you guys want me to go into detail about it too much, but it was just things where I guess the biggest thing was the fact that he always talked about how he had worked for 343, the head of the company anyway, and that he was the creator of the Fotis armor. And unfortunately for him, he didn't realize that I had contacts at 343 Industries.
Oh.
And it got to a point where I'm like, I even told a couple of friends that I had brought on the project. I'm like, I really don't want to ask the question because I'm afraid of the answer.
Yeah. Oh dear.
So I got them both in a, I think it was a Facebook chat, and I'm like, so I've got a question about this person. They're like, well, what do you want to know specifically? I'm like, I want to know if he's ever worked for you guys or been contracted out. And one of them went on the computer to look up the payroll, and he said no. And the other one was like, oh yeah, I know that guy. He's just a big fan. And I'm like,
oh no.
Time to gracefully bow out.
Oh dear.
So
oh dear.
yeah, that's kind of hard. You put in 8 months work because, when you're doing a small company, not everyone doesn't just stick to their one specialty. Everybody's kind of
no, you do everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I did kind of concept designs for weapons and stuff like that. And it was just one of those things where they just had so many ideas that they wanted to cram into this. I can't even really tell you, even to this day, what the game was supposed to be about. It just had way too much that that they wanted to put into it. It's, oh my God. So, and I've done like, non-digital related stuff. I've done cosplay. I've done prop building. I was really good at that. But it was one of those things where it, like between mental health and stuff like that, I kind of quit doing it. It became too much work. And there was also stuff that happened like in our cosplay and con groups. Also, our local con went away. So that was unfortunate. So, and then as far as, podcasting, I had already planned to actually start podcasting, and then my mom passed away in 2018. So she passed away in December, and about a month later, we decided to, I had a friend at the time, and I decided to start doing games journalism for real, actually do a show on it and grind it out. And that was Gamerfield Studios Live, which actually Gamerfield Studios Live is the oldest piece of running content. Well, it's not running right now, but the oldest name I have. That's what I started with when I did, because, Gamerfuel was big back around Halo 3. So that's what I started with. And we ran for about 40 or 42 episodes. I had some pretty cool guests on too. I had Adam Bankhurst from IGN. I had Jake Decker from GameSpot. That's how I met Brandon Cole, who I'm hoping I can have on our show guesting at some point. He's blind. He's a consultant for game companies. Basically, he tells them how to make their games for accessibility, which is really cool.
Nice.
Really cool guy. But he has no eyes at all. Something that happened to him at birth, and he had to have his eyes removed. So like he streams and everything. So I always love talking about this guy. He's so cool. He's so nice. And I know that MMOs aren't his thing, probably for obvious reasons, but that's kind of the conversation I want to talk about is, how, the correlation between MMOs and, disabled people, like how does that work? Does it even work? Stuff like that. So hopefully he'll come on to talk about that. But, again, it was that thing of we spent 10 months almost every single week, me and a friend of mine at the time, physically coming together to set up and record. I mean, one of our big mistakes is we were recording 2-3 hour shows, and you learn a lot when you've been podcasting for a few years. And Yeah, nobody likes those longer episodes. About an hour and 10 minutes is the sweet spot right there. So, but yeah,
you can get away with longer episodes if you've got a really long running show sometimes.
Right.
My World of Warcraft podcast is over 10 years old, and we run to about 2 hours, but you need to build your audience for that. You can't do it at the outset.
Damn. Yeah, I mean, special every once in a while, stuff like that is fine. But yeah, no, I learned that shorter. I mean, even when we did Legends Rise the first couple times, I'm looking at the like files for the old episodes, and I'm like, oh man, yeah. Which I guess brings me to the fact that I have done this show 3 separate times, and originally, and I've also done other podcasting stuff. I've done comedy stuff. I've done stuff with my best friend Kenny that we did in the past 6 months. Again, stuff that just doesn't pick up, and you don't want to like waste your time. You want to move on to stuff that actually works. And like the whole idea is, us getting bigger, I can go, hey, you like what we do all this other stuff as well, kind of thing. So, but I started out, I think I started the first Legends Rise in like October 2020. I think it was 2020 or 2019. God, the last 3 years have just been kind of a blur.
Yeah, they're just a blur. Yeah. Time has no meaning at this point.
No.
I mean, we're in what, the 35th month of March 2020?
Yeah, basically.
Something like that.
Yeah, but so I didn't really know I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know which direction to go as far as like co-host structure, stuff like that. So like the original show at one point had like 7 people on an episode, and it was just absolutely crazy. And I just kind of stopped doing it because it was really hard on my mental health, because I was always obsessed with, I got to get a show out every week. I got to, people are frustrating me because they're not getting together and this, that, the other. And then the second time we did it, I did it with Aaron and Chris. And again, I started about the same time, ended about the same time, because about that time of year, like work was ramping up because springtime, and we have a family yard maintenance business. So, shit's growing.
Yeah.
This year's been super fun. But yeah, so it's just like you're trying to balance everything in life, and just our living situation, it was exacting a heavy toll on my mind. So again, for the sake of my own mental health, recording, well, you guys know how difficult recordings can be with distance. They were East Coast co-host, so that was really difficult. I mean, that wasn't all of it. That wasn't the only reason. A lot of it was my mental health. But again, I can't keep away. I like having something to do, having a project. It helps my depression, and it helps distract me, especially after things that have happened over the past few years. So I decided, because again, we were doing Pop Culture FM starting in October, and we had gone on for 5-6 months until I came to Kenny. I'm like, I kind of want to start Legends Rise again, because I know the numbers it's going to bring in, and I want to see what we do. I basically, the guys worked really hard. The guys and a couple like 1 or 2 gals worked really hard on the content we were doing, and I wanted to see them rewarded for that. So I wanted to, again, build up Legends Rise, hopefully kind of push those people over that way. And, that way they're not doing work for nothing, even though, again, there's that whole thing of, well, we are doing it to also have fun and get together and stuff like that. But then it just kind of became this thing of, this is all I'm focusing on right now to make it successful. Because, I know that's always the dream for everybody, and it's always a long shot, but I'd like to make a living out of this, or at least bring in, a couple thousand to help supplement things, So, but I mean, there's a lot of different details about all the projects I've done and the content creation and stuff. But I always looked up to other people who got successful doing it, all the journalists, and I loved being in the gaming industry and stuff like that. I could never stay away. But having a family business, it's kind of hard to go out and make your own career when you got to focus on that and taking care of family and stuff. So basically, I'm doing this as best I can with the time I've got, and I'm hoping that, stuff like, we want to open up the Threadless shop, and we want to provide, not only earn money for ourselves, but provide opportunity for other artists to get their stuff out there and put a little change back in their pockets. So that's a project we're currently trying to get off the ground right now. So we're just trying to find things to passively earn money. That way we're not like, because again, I've learned a lot in the past 3 years of doing straight up podcasting, shorter episodes, not necessarily having to kill yourself over getting that episode out every week. You'd like to, but if the people love your content, they'll stick around. They'll stay subscribed. They'll wait for either that next episode or when you finally say, hey, enough is enough. I can't do this anymore. I definitely don't want to do that again after, 3 times, because I've even had a few people comment like, again? Like, really? Like, I'm like, yeah, well, I've learned a lot more. I'm a little bit older. I'm getting better on balancing my mental health, which is very important. That's why we have the BetterHelp ad, in addition to also obviously hopefully making revenue off it. But, mental health has always been a big priority of mine, and I try to help people as much as I can without taxing myself as well. So.
All right. Isn't it nice when guests answer questions before you even ask them?
Yeah. Yep. Scratch that question.
Scratch that one off.
I will say my sister-in-law had a gender sociology study that her professor was allowing me to shadow on, and it was really funny because it's mostly girls in there, and I'm just kind of studying the room at all the girls that are very intently and being active and stuff, and all the guys just have their head down to the desk. And, again, gaming industry stuff. So they're talking about gender studies. And the professor she was like, oh, come on, let's get a word from some of the guys in here. All the girls have been. And I raised my hand and I said, if I start talking, you will not get me to shut up. And the guys just look at me. They're like, what are you doing? Be cool, man. We're just here to get our damn credits. You're making us look bad. But I love talking about that stuff. I love having educated conversations. Especially civilized, educated conversations. So it was an exciting, because again, I made comparisons to what was going on. I can't remember what was going on at the time. Probably something to do with Blizzard, because it's always Blizzard and Activision.
Yes. Yeah, don't even. I mean, that's part of the reason this podcast even exists, is because we had to go and do something that wasn't play World of Warcraft for a bit, because
in my case almost a year, so yeah. So getting back to the game itself, are you a single player character, or do you like to have a bunch of alts ready to go?
Oh god, single all the way. I was so excited because it was Lotus who said that he was like 1 or 2 characters only, right?
Yeah.
I was I love telling him in the podcaster chat. I'm like, yes, single player buddies. I have a hard time multitasking on that kind of a scale, and I just like focusing on my tank. So, which is unfortunate when you get other people who only play one character and only main a tank, which is not that often, but when you do run into that, it really sucks, because it's like, well, I technically have 2. My original character was, technically my very original character was a Nord Templar, but I got it to 50. I'm like, I don't really like this. And again, you're talking about like when we still have veteran ranks. This is one Tamriel. So I'm like, I'm going to go with the Dragon Knight, and I love the Dragon Knight so much more. Easiest class in the world to DPS on. Fire. Just nothing but fire.
Yeah, all the way down. Yep, everything's on fire. Yep.
Fire and dual wield, and I'm set.
Yep, fire just synergizes so well with like literally everything. So, but eventually I got into tanking. Number 1, because the Necromancer had gotten announced. And I kind of looked at that and I'm like, that is probably going to be a god tier level tank. And yes, it turned out to be just that. Because I'm running them like, I could run Leeching and Barahaz and Thurvoken and be set. And yeah, for a long time, I never died. Or I died very, very little. But then they started doing things like changing up the vampire and all that good stuff, and all that invincibility just kind of slowly tapered away. Actually, it was funny because the very first blow that was dealt was soon after, in July, when they dropped the the patch notes and like, oh, by the way, what was that? What's that one from Entropy? Structured Entropy no longer gives you a health bonus. I'm like,
No.
Cool. I couldn't figure out why I had less health. I'm like, what is going on? I looked at Structured Entropy. I'm like, my bonus is gone? That's great. That's cool.
Uh-oh.
So, but no, I did DPS for a number of years, and eventually somebody called me out because I can't weave and I can't. I don't have rotation. I can't do it. Again, my brain it's too much multitasking, which is funny because you look at a tank that constantly has to be situationally aware, but I'm still free to do what I want.
Yeah.
I don't have to go, okay, this one, go down a line. I can go, okay, I need to do my my unnerving boneyard because, the boss needs resistance is lowered on it, or everybody needs shields, so oh god, the one from the Undaunted, I can't remember, but you get the idea.
Yeah. No, I can't remember either.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, basically someone was like, well, maybe you should try being a tank or healer. Maybe you'd be better at it than DPS. And I took it as an insult.
Oh.
But I get, because I wanted to be DPS. I wanted to be good at DPS. But again, when the Necromancer was announced, I looked at them like, maybe I will get into tanking. And it turns out I'm way better at tanking than I am at DPS, and I love it. It's always great to. In fact, I just got a compliment. I mean, I was running on normal, but I was running Coral Airy for the first time to get the quest for so I could do the prologue and then go on to the High Isle stuff. And someone complimented me on tanking, so that's always a great feeling. But yeah, long story short, I guess I only run one or two characters. My original, which is a Nord Dragon Knight, and the other one, which is a Nord Necromancer tank.
Cool. I do think tanking in ESO is really, really responsive. It's really reactive. Even more so than tanking in World of Warcraft. Like, it's really constantly just reading what's in front of you and reacting to it and doing the best thing in the moment, which is a completely different playstyle from, I press this button, then I press this button, and have my timers run out on this debuff, has this, what am I hitting now? It's completely different.
I can't get to that headspace. So the DPSing, the weaving, that I can do.
Okay.
But you try to tell me, okay, you need to taunt, you need to make sure there's crowd controls down. That's when I run into issues. Okay.
Yeah, and you've got to be careful with the taunts in ESO because you get diminishing returns on them.
Right.
Which is because that's not how that works in World of Warcraft. So it's kind of it's interesting to translate from a WoW tank to a ESO tank. ESO tanks more challenging, but completely different playstyle.
And that's what I've heard too. Is in fact a lot of people love tanking in ESO more than they do WoW because it's like, wow, I actually get to do things. I don't.
Yeah, no, WoW tanking's really boring. I mean, we've got. I don't tank in the World of Warcraft. I heal in the World of Warcraft, but WoW tanking can be really, really, really dull because you can lock in the aggro. You could really lock in the aggro. It's very unlikely that you're going to lose aggro on something in WoW, whereas in ESO, everything's always on the edge of your aggro range, and so you're always juggling. And you can't have aggro on everything all at the same time. It's a completely different way of thinking about it. So it's a much more dynamic thing. If you're a good WoW tanking in WoW is quite boring, I think. Don't write to me, WoW tanks. I know.
Yeah, versus ESO, where if you're really good at tanking, especially in the harder content, you're like a legend. Again, when I ran Enoch the Deathless, named aptly because, again, between Balrah's Curse and Leeching Plate constantly healing me, and a lot of people, are kind of mistaken about tanking. It's not always necessarily about buffing your group. The primary job of a tank is to not die.
Yeah, 100%.
Then everything is secondary. But I've had a lot of meta jocks go, well, then you do this, that, the other. I'm like, well, if you're able to, then yes. you can run the hardest content imaginable and be fine as long as your tank doesn't die, especially if you're a necromancer. Reason why necromancer is like god tier tank is because we've got res.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times. In fact, when we were running veteran Shipwright Regret, because I wanted to get Nazare because that's a sweet monster set. I've been loving that one. But it was on one of the extra bosses, the storm guy down below, and everyone wiped, and the guy's like, wipe, and I'm like, or you can watch what I'm doing for a second. About 10 seconds later, I got the ult I needed, it popped it, and everyone rezzed, and they're like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Necro.
Yeah. For some reason, everyone forgets that the tank also has the ability to res. They just assume the healer's the only one with res. So that's something I love to do, especially since I can run my Colossus on the front bar as my quote active ultimate, and then use the res as a situational ultimate. And it's so much fun, and I love getting those cheers like, oh my god, you did what we thought was impossible. I'm like, well, it's kind of my job.
Yeah. I've learned to play my class really well.
Yes.
What is your favorite thing to do in game?
I would say I love doing dungeons. I love that feeling of going in and tanking and getting all that praise and stuff.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah.
Aside from the frustrations, especially when you have somebody go ahead of the tank and aggro everything in the tunnel, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm leaving you to die.
Yeah,
but
you pull it, you tank it.
If you were to, which I know you are, but if you were to ask me, the top three things would probably be in no particular order: dungeons, housing, and now Tales of Tribute.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of Tales of Tribute, I'm gonna jump in here with a replacement question for the one you already answered. How are you finding High Isle?
Yeah, so we're gonna be doing our. It's funny because I look at our feed. I'm like, we've done 2 High Isle discussions already. So I'm hoping people aren't finding it repetitive, even though it's different information every time. Because we had the original discussion that we technically missed out on because we started a month later, and then of course they dropped the what was it in April or whatever? They dropped another conference or whatever, stream, whatever it was, to talk more about Isle in detail, which we got to talk about more. And now we're basically going to be doing our kind of face value review of it, our experiences with it, how much we're loving it. And it's of what I've gotten to play so far, because I haven't started questing yet, because I was trying to catch up on Blackwood. And again, I completed the second dungeon this morning, so I'm good on those quests. I just have to complete the prologue, and then I can actually start questing. But just running around High Isle itself, it's gorgeous.
Yes.
As somebody who listens to podcasts like Myths and Legends by Jason Weiser and anything by Aaron Mankey, you're talking about Myths and Legends, listening to the Arthurian legends and stuff, knowing that this is based off of that aesthetic, it really does feel like it. Holy crap. The biomes, they weren't kidding when, because I get that this is supposed to be a smaller landmass piece of content for a chapter, and everyone's kind of concerned, compared to the other. Honestly, this place is massive, and I think it's because of the different variations of there's the Three Flags Isle, but you're up on that cliff over there. Honestly, with that in mind, it feels very Skyrim-esque. The whole mantra of, you see that mountain, you can go there. That's what kind of really, because a lot of the stuff we get, yes, for Greymoor, we've gotten Blackreach, so it's more of a vertical content boost instead of horizontal. This is very much kind of a mix of both, because a lot of what we get is horizontal. You figure Vardenfell was just around the volcano. Still big because you have to go around a volcano, but it's still a good chunk of the landmass is taken up by that volcano that you can't go and explore. Somerset, kind of the same thing, where it's just one. There it is kind of mountainous and stuff, but for the most part, it is just one wide open range. But again, this is jungles. This is haunted coastline, which I haven't found yet, which I'm really excited about. It's the wide open field of sunflowers. It's not just
the sunflowers. The sunflowers.
Amazing.
The fucking sunflowers. I just love the sunflowers so much.
They're super prominent. Like I noticed, like going around recently and questing and other places, like, okay, no, there are sunflowers in ESO, but you go to High, I'm like, oh, there's sunflowers. But it's not just one castle. Like, you go to Glenumbra and it's just Daggerfall. It's many castles. It's like what, 2, 3, 4, whatever. So you do feel like you're actually in this Arthurian setting, that you're traveling the realm and going to these different kingdoms of like Camelot and Lot's castle and stuff like that. So it's just been, and of course, Tales of Tribute. I love like Shanty over here, big background in, because I grew up playing Pokemon cards, Magic, or not Magic. Magic came in my early 20s, but Yu-Gi-Oh! I loved Gwent in Witcher 3, and in playing that, I thought that's exactly what ESO has needed for a long time, is something like this. To add one more thing to the wheel, but also something to make the game feel a lot more interactive on a different scale than just, armoring up and going and beating something in the face kind of thing. Whether it's PvP or PvE, doesn't really matter, because we gotten a lot of that, beat face content. We've got Antiquities, of course, which I think is the only other passive system we've gotten.
I think so.
Yeah. I think pretty much Tales of Tribute is the second only system that's been dropped where it's non-combat related, and I apologize if I'm wrong on that. Somebody can correct me. But
housing.
I mean, I was going to say housing. I guess is the only other kind of thing, but but housing is a different kind of thing. I mean,
Homestead was a long time ago. I originally thought like Homestead needed a Homestead 2.0, even though I'm not really sure what that looks like. But I feel like housing needs a little bit more. And I'm probably gonna talk about it when we do housing. But it's like, you look at some of the houses, it's like, why are they still limited? Like Pariah's Pinnacle has been out for years. Wouldn't you benefit more financially if you just go, okay, we're going to keep this house exclusive for a couple years or whatever, and then we're eventually going to release it. It's going to be available for everybody, and you could just buy it. It's still going to be expensive. ZOS is still going to get their money's worth, which, that's always something I found fascinating. It's like, why don't you do this? It would benefit you with no work, and nobody's going to care. In fact, people are going to be really happy, because like, oh no, we always miss it. Like, we always miss Pariahs, or we always miss, and you can release some other houses, of course, that go into that limited rotation. But kind of expand your housing market out just a little bit. I'm kind of tired of seeing the same thing over and over when I go into the roster.
Sure, for sure. What piece of advice would you give to someone thinking about trying out the game, or to somebody who's recently started?
Oh God. Considering
if you had to boil it down to just like one piece of advice.
Go listen to our first episode for sure.
Yeah, but go and listen to your podcast. Yeah.
All right, question answered. I answered it in an hour. in episode 1. Because we do it before you buy, because we want people to have set expectations, and a lot of the expectations people, I should say not expectation. A lot of what people are asking is, well, is this like, normal Elder Scrolls games? And no, it's not. But it's also, don't go into, like, I don't have a lot of experience with MMOs. In fact, ESO is my only experience. But from what I understand, other MMOs are vastly different. So don't go into this thinking it's an Elder Scrolls game like Skyrim, and don't go thinking that it's an MMO like WoW, because, they are, but they aren't. You know,
Yeah.
they're completely separate, but they also ESO kind of blends those two things together. So
It's an intersection of the two.
yeah, no, again,
Yeah, for sure.
a lot of MMO players come to ESO and go, "Wow, this is so much better, cleaner than a lot of other MMOs that they've played." Not to mention, with the exception of Black Desert, I believe it's the only MMO on console. I think actual like legit traditional MMO. So that's another thing that it's got
No,
going.
there's Neverwinter, but again,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
Neverwinter, and the monetization on that is extremely predatory. So that's not something I recommend you go check out.
Well, and again, it's not it's not pretty like ESO is. It's very much. I've booted it up. I've tried to play it, but I'm like, oh, the character's not running on the ground like I expect. Nothing's connecting like it's. I don't like it. It's icky. I'm going back to ESO.
ESO is extremely beautiful. Extremely beautiful. And I do also think that there's a good balance between things that you get just because you play the game and you've bought the base game, and like it's a completely playable if you don't put any more money in. But if you want to make your life slightly easier and you want to get slightly shinier things, you can buy some crowns or you can buy premium, or I think they've struck a good balance there for that.
Or if you want to do crafting, because
or if you want to do crafting, because you need the
bag.
bag. You do need the crafting bag if you want to do crafting, for sure.
Yeah. I always recommend ESO Plus. If you can swing $15 a month, the crowns alone are worth it. You're getting a little bit more than you would just paying $15 to buy crowns. But yeah, and I know you get the usual number of people saying, the developers don't care, the game's broken, this, that, and the other. Again, coming from a long history with the gaming industry, I always tell people to exercise developer empathy because, hey, have you ever made a video game? Hey,
yeah, for sure.
You ever made an MMO? Like, it's not the fact that ZOS is constantly. They've only had to delay a couple times, I believe, in the long running time that ESO has been out. The fact that they're always constantly dropping content when they say that they're going to do it, and yes, we're gonna have bugs, we're gonna have breaks, but that just happens. Like
the breakneck pace that they release the content at. I mean, it's every 3 months they're adding something.
Well, and I have a great analogy because, working with equipment, I'm constantly making sure that, there's fresh oil, there's fresh blades on the mowers, there's all the equipment, almost every single day. I'm constantly maintaining and tuning and all that stuff, making sure the equipment runs. But sometimes a drive cable snaps. Sometimes a blade gets bent. You cannot control these things. So That's why I always tell people, it seems like they should be able to, but no, that's not possible. Things are going to break that are unforeseen. Well, what was it? Just months ago, they had that big issue.
Port.
At
the launch of the
yeah,
and it was a physical hardware issue that they had no idea even happened.
And that would have been so far down the checklist because it's a new software patch. You're looking at everything software before you even think of hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was super bad luck. Super bad luck.
Yeah, I've made the comparison in our Xbox Bethesda showcase reaction, but like even a franchise that I love so much as Halo, I feel like it would benefit so much by looking at what ZOS is doing and going, okay, this is how we should release content. And it always confuses me if anybody knows, like, and God, it hurts me so much to say this, but how not broken Infinite is, but really lacking in content. And I'm like, but you are a Microsoft created, owned, and backed company. You have Microsoft dollars. We know how much money Microsoft has. They just got $70 billion. So why are you guys having trouble? Hire more people. Do what you need to do to get this game. Because it's like, the game's been out like over 6 months and we've only gotten like 2 maps and one of them is publicly locked to a specific game mode. Why? When I'm looking at ZeniMax Online, which, I'm not saying that, they're running buttery smooth. I'm sure there's high stress situations. There is always high stress situations and you're freaking out. Oh my God, am I going to get this thing out on time? But the fact that they still deliver while taking care of themselves and taking care of the fans.
Yeah. Yeah, the pace of content delivery from ZOS has been the thing I have been most impressed about, actually, since coming and being a 2 MMO player. And obviously it's the thing that Blizzard have... Well, it's not the thing that Blizzard have been most criticized for recently, obviously, but it's one of the things that has been Blizzard have been rightly criticized for a number of years.
It was the thing that they were most criticized for before July of last year.
Yeah, before the thing happened. And they've just never managed to get it together and have always sort of said it's impossible. And here is us just doing it. There you go. Yeah. It just happens all the time. So yeah, big props to ZOS for that. It's an incredible achievement.
Well, and you always got to wonder, like, where is the line between developer and the community? Because unfortunately we've seen mishaps happen. I definitely want to, I'm always afraid of stepping on somebody's toes, but I also love like getting the truth out there and getting the story out there for the journalistic obsession that I have. So it's like the whole incident with Kyle Dempster. Holy God. I think I was podcasting at that point, or it was like just before. I don't quite remember, but I mean, you can look it up. There's an article about it, but I kind of want to break it down. If Gina is willing to talk about it, I'd love to get, their side on what happened, because that is always an interesting question. Like, I love the fact that the community and the developers are so connected, basically through Gina. So it's just always a wonder, when does that line blur? When do things get too personal and stuff like that? But I'm a journalist at heart. I like, digging up stories as long as as long as nobody's obviously getting hurt or anything like that. But I have a curious mind.
Okay, so for our listeners that aren't familiar with Legends Rise, they provide a pretty granular how-to in audio format, such as a whole episode on going through the menus. So how did you come to the conclusion that was how you would approach your show?
Oh my God, the menu episode. And Lainey's like, do we have to do this? It's so boring. I'm like, yes, we have to we can't just do the fun stuff all the time. We have to. Because
to be fair, the menus can be one of the bugbears learning how to play ESO. So I appreciated that episode personally.
Well, and again, doing this kind of brand new for the third time, I looked back at like how things were structured originally, and this time around I did kind of want to do an Avengers style thing where we start small and we take care of the new people first, and older veteran players can listen to it and they may find something that they didn't know before. I mean, God knows I've played the game since near the beginning, and there's still things I'm like, wait, really? That's a thing? You can do that? Oh,
okay. Wait, that's in that menu?
Yeah. I'm on the game going, oh, I didn't realize you could do that. Like, that's why the menus were so important, because there's a lot you can miss in optimizing your game. So, and a lot of people will go, well, where do I go to turn off stealing so I'm not getting into trouble like right off the bat and making the game
how do I turn off attacking innocents, for the love of God, please?
Yeah.
It's easy, bro. You just don't attack innocents. God. But also to like recommendations of how you should set yourself up for like combat and stuff. Like I talked about the percentage and the numbers and having both of those, and the biggest thing when I discovered it was like, oh my God, this is the holy grail. Auto casting for AoE abilities, because if you don't have that on, you have to click your skill once, point to where you want to cast it and then do it instead of just pointing to where you want to cast it, hitting
Which
your
is tricky on a controller.
Oh, to do the original?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I was like, I'm gonna hit that option right now. And as soon as I hit, I'm like, oh, this feels so good. So I don't know. Like when we're talking about the very original thing for Legends Rise, kind of going back to Kyle Dempster before everything blew up, him and Stark Realm were the ones who kind of taught people how to play ESO. And I love their podcast. I was actually kind of sad that even though that whole thing went down with him, that he decided to take down the show. Because, I took notes and everything and how things were structured, and I very much wanted to put my own spin on it. And lo and behold, he went away and we became the only ones that teach people how to play ESO. So, but that was kind of my inspiration, because I'm like, oh, that's right. We were just getting done with Gamerfield Studios Live, and then like I think a month or two later, or maybe it was even like kind of a quick transition, I'm like, huh, I play this game a lot. Maybe I could do a podcast on it. And of course, when you're talking about how to build a podcast, you're thinking, okay, what content can I bring to this? And that was kind of the thing of looking at that and going, okay, I'm going to do this because there seems to be no limit to what I can do. Even when we have eventually run out of like all of the ins and outs to talk about, there's still discussions. Like, again, I talked about the, developer discussion and the relationship between developer and the community. I find that really fascinating. And I'd love to, do all my research and get interviews and bring that all to the table in one episode, or even a mini kind of thing that we release if people want. And then people can listen to go, wow, I did not know that. Very much in the same vein of, I listened to Conan O'Brien's podcast and he had Michelle Obama on. And did you know that they actually have to pay to live in the White House? Because I didn't.
I did not know that.
I was today years old when I learned that.
Yeah, you think, oh, well, they're, it's the president. He's got other important things to do. He shouldn't be bothered with making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Manservant, fetch me my peanut butter and jelly sandwich. No, Michelle was talking about how, her and Barack would tell the girls, okay, we went out for lobster. Now tonight we have to do peanut butter and jelly sandwiches because we have to watch our budget. And I thought, wow.
Wow.
So, it's that kind of thing where I would love to bring something as inspirational as that to the table, where people listen and go, wow, I didn't know that. And especially if it contributes to developer empathy and builds this culture of, okay, maybe we should let off. Because honestly, the consumer market is the worst.
Yeah.
Like, I hate listening to, I really try to block all that out of, oh, the game's broken again. Oh, this is a dead franchise, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, if you put even a fraction of that energy into saying positive things as you do into negative, everything would just be so much better. I just don't understand why you're such a hateful little creature.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But I guess that was kind of my thing, is I wanted to bring a more, positive light into a space that I love so much.
Cool. Will you be doing an introduction to Tales of Tamriel for people like me who have no idea what the fuck they are doing?
I think I should be able to get that out in audio format. It's actually not as hard as it's almost like, because we all watched the stream. It's like, I'm watching this, I'm confused. It's one of those things where you definitely have to actually get your hands on it and listen at the same time. I feel like if, like, say you guys we did an episode, you guys sat down and go, okay, I'm in a game right now, and you're listening and you're going, okay, well, what they find like already off the bat, a move that I try to do very often is, okay, I don't have any other moves, but I have two gold coins, so I'm going to trade that in for a Rit coin, because that's building up my ability to buy more things. So explaining stuff like that and explaining strategy, I think paired with actual people doing the hands-on approach will be a lot more beneficial than actually just watching a video. You can watch a video. It might click with you, but I also want to try that and see how people connect with the game on that level.
Yeah, that's definitely what I need. Either that or somebody's going to have to come and sit in my chat whilst I'm on stream and just teach me, because it's terrible. Anyway, back to the actual questions. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to as a content creator you feel particularly inspired by?
Oh God.
Yeah, just like one or maybe two people.
I mean, honestly, really just our entire ESO content family.
Oh, mate. Absolutely.
I love all you guys. It's this wonderful little club where we all feel like really important. Especially like I give my shout outs to the people who I'm working closely with right now, like Joey Chaos from Lost in Nern. I know he's having a hard time with his show right now, and we're kind of working towards because I probably have already talked about it, but just for the sake of, in case I didn't, because I'm very forgetful, I don't want to go too much into it. But I know that he wants to. I guess I could probably say, because I have said before, he wants to do comedy skits, and I've done comedy stuff before. So it's like, okay, let's work on this together. I think this would be a really fun and really cool thing, and it'll be your niche, your thing that you started this idea. I'm helping you, and together we can bring this really cool thing to the table. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I'm hoping it does, because it sounds really great. The ideas that he's got, I'm really excited. Sulior or Eric from Tamrielic Adventures, we play together a lot. And I love collaborating with him as well. But just in general, I mean, to kind of shatter the veil, yeah, everybody in this episode right now, we all have a podcasters Discord that we're a part of, a ESO content creation group. And it's just fun to just, kind of chit chat and, Hyper Pixie's in there, Lotus is in there.
Yeah.
A lot of the big names are in there, and obviously want to keep growing that and spreading ideas between each other and having each other on different shows and just building a very healthy content creation community.
Yeah, it was amazing. We hadn't even put the first show out, and somebody was like, come to our secret little Discord channel where we've got everybody like rounded up. And it was like, this is like completely amazing, because
they did officially wait for the day one drop.
Oh, that's true. No, we did wait until the episode had actually dropped. But yeah, it was like immediately like, come in, come be part of the family. And yeah, it was very welcoming, and we were very happy.
Yeah, I was technically supposed to invite you, and then I lost track. Because I think I told Shanty, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll send. We have this thing. I'll send you the invite, and I felt really bad when it was someone else who did it. I'm like,
to be fair, I was already in the Red Diamond Courier Discord, and as soon as I posted the link for the first episode, like Bob Chichinsky, he just invites me right away. So
yeah,
I don't think you had much chance to actually get to it.
Yeah, a lot of us are pretty good about like grabbing up content creators quickly and bringing them into the fold. So like, if you're out there listening and you want to try your hand at ESO content and finding your own niche in the community, we're all more than welcome to help you out. We obviously want to see our content community grow. Like, we're all kind of competing for space, but at the same time we're not, kind of thing, I do think about that, like I think it's pretty much us and Red Diamond, and between the two of us, we're the ones who go like really in depth. So there are podcasts out there that teach you about the game, but I mean, I'm only one specific entertainer, just like the Red Diamond guys are their own specific entertainer. So you may find the exact same information, but you might find that you like listening to one content creator more over the other. So if you want to create a show about teaching people how to play the game, then by all means do it. Just because we exist doesn't mean you should feel discouraged. You might be more entertaining than me. I don't know how that's possible, but you might be.
And that's actually why our show exists, is because we wanted to help people find the creators that they vibe with.
Yeah,
For
sure.
Just because I like both the Red Diamond and Legends Rise doesn't mean everybody will. Some people will like one or the other better. And eventually, we'll have them on here and people will be able to pick and choose.
Or listen to both.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so we do have a couple rapid fire kind of questions. So we just want, off the top of your head answers for these last couple questions.
Oh, gosh. The ones that I'm not good at. Is it clear to everybody that I like details? Love hearing the sound of my own voice.
So what is your favorite bit of lore from the game?
Oh, I'm actually not really sure. I can tell you what it used to be, before, we had ESO and everything was really expanded on more, and that was the Dwemer, because you figure we didn't really have much of the Dwemer. I mean, they were most prominent in Skyrim because we had Blackreach and everything. But again, we really did, and then once you get an ESO, it's like, oh, there's Dwemer ruins, literally everywhere. It's not that special anymore. So,
to be fair, we still don't know what the Dwemer were. We know what they left.
And we never will. Get that notion out of your head right now, sir. Todd Howard will never reveal his secrets. He's going to take that one to the grave, I swear to God. So, I mean, just to state the rapid fire answer, I will say the Dwemer. There's probably something I'm missing, but we'll go with the Dwemer. Although I will say anything Gothic in the ESO lore I love. So obviously Greymore was at the top of my list. I love going through Glenumbra because it's got werewolves and all that cool stuff. So and of course Raven Spire is a really cool Gothic landscape. So yeah, I will say that anything Gothic. And well, I always refer to that one quest in Stonefalls where that woman asks you to find her lover, and you find out that it's him and his wife played a cruel joke on her, and depending on how you answer, she killed herself. Oh my God, Zenimax! Jeez.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
I love heavy stuff like that because you're not afraid to do this. You're not afraid to actually be kind of realistic. So I like that.
For sure. Okay, final question. If you could transplant any of the fantasy type species from the game into reality, which one would you choose?
Oh my. Good Lord. Well, of course, giant spiders are a must. Everyone loves giant spiders. One member of our household is like, why does it always have to be spiders? I watched it's Leah and her and I watched the Xbox conference together, and there's some games that come and she's like, why is it always spiders? Why?
Yeah.
You know what? Just for the sake of terrorizing everyone else who has arachnophobia, sure, let's say giant spiders.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, Marcus.
That's a note to finish on right there. Just giant spiders. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Can you let our wonderful listeners know where they can find you or avoid you if they have strong feelings about spiders?
Zenimax, we're gonna start a petition to bring more giant spiders. Just a whole year long of Mephala content, just nothing but spiders. Yeah, that's always seems to be the consensus. You either love me or hate me. If you don't mind, I'm actually going to brisk through our actual outro because it's just easier.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's it for this episode of Legends Rise. This is how we snuck in that extra content, even though this is going to be, a couple weeks out still. So love to shatter the illusion for everyone. But if you want more stuff, you can check out our Discord. The links to those are on our Facebook and Twitter at Legends Rise ESO. Come be a part of the fun and make some new friends. And if you want more out of your experience, oh wait, am I supposed to plug Patreon here? No. I can use your platform to monetize. Don't give money to these plebs. Just give it all to me. Not even to my co-host. Not even to my co-host. All to me.
I mean, we don't currently have a Patreon, so you can plug yours if you would like.
All the crown crates. You can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/legendsriseeso and become a Legends Plus member. We are always doing stuff to try to make your dollar worth it. It's $5 for less than a price of a gallon of gas.
Oh dear.
Oh, that's painful.
It hurts so much. Yeah. Oh my god. I will say you can find Lainey since she wasn't able to be here today since she has a migraine, but you guys will be hosting her at a later date. But you can find her on, that's what I heard anyway. Spoilers! Don't you love having me on your show? I'm going to ruin everyone's day. But yeah, you can find her on the PCNA server at Adexi, the one-eyed with a hyphen between one and eyed, and you can find me on Xbox at Everyone's Problem, spelled with a 0 and no E at the end. Come hang out with me on the North American server, or if you aren't up for ESO, we do play other games. I play other games with my best friend Kenny and our friends and stuff like that. So, we have Instagram at Legends Rise ESO. We have YouTube, Legends Rise ESO channel. If you want to come look at my beautiful face. And I think that's it. Yeah. Sorry, going through my notes again, shattering the illusion. Again, we're always constantly working on other stuff. Like I said, we're trying to do the threadless thing, and we just want to give back to the community. We want to do giveaways and stuff like that. We can't do that without money, though. So that's partly why we ask people for like donations and Patreon subs and all this other stuff. We want to obviously be earning money to help us survive in this crazy world, but at the same time, we want to do that really cool stuff like you see other content creators doing. I've also started streaming as well. I'm trying to do Tribute Tuesdays and Thursdays at Legends Rise ESO on Twitch, so you can catch me there. I try to be consistent with my schedule. It's hard to be as consistent as I'd like to be, but those are the 2 days I'm trying to keep scheduled for, and I might fire up the stream on an off day like today actually. Even though it won't matter because again, this is going to release way after it. But I'm probably going to pop on stream this afternoon as well. So keep an eye out for that.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. If you've enjoyed it, please let other people know and give a review wherever you are listening to. I don't know if you saw Raven, but we actually do have 1 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts.
Oh, Apple. I was going to say, if you're listening on Spotify, that 1 5-stars me.
Hey! Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We only just got syndicated to Spotify. The Spotify syndication took about 3 weeks for some reason.
No, that was Stitcher. Spotify went through fine. It was Stitcher.
Oh, okay. Was it Stitcher that took ages? Some of them just went for ages.
And if you want to get in touch with the show, you can find us on Twitter at 10th Divine Pod, or you can email us at 10thdivinepodcast@gmail.com.
If you want to find us in other places, you can find me, Raven, over at Girls Gone WoW, if you're into World of Warcraft, or if tabletop RPGs are your thing, check out As the Dice Roll, where I'm a member of the crew of the Cautious Optimism. You can find me on Twitter at SilkyRaven, or on the Girls Gone WoW Discord at girlsgonewow.net/Discord. There's a channel dedicated to ESO chatter, and there's lots of other kind of general gaming chatter going on over there. Very friendly community.
All right, and you can find me, Shanty, on Twitter at Shantyman Gaming, or on Twitch, also at Shantyman Gaming, where I stream a variety of MMOs. And you can also find me on the Girls Gone Wild Discord, joining in the ESO chatter and gaming chat, or in a variety of other ESO Discords, like the Legends Rise Discord.
Yay! I am trying to like collect all the content creators in mine as well. You know, you're all like Pokemon to me. That's all you're worth. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. Invite me back anytime you have more questions for me. I'd be happy to ramble on for way longer than anybody wants to hear me.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a lot of fun.
Good, I'm glad. Thank you.
I will speak to you all in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.